All right. Well, want to welcome you, Damien, to our Chemistry 108 class, kind of in a virtual format, of course. We're recording this. I'm going to start off by having you introduce yourself, but you were a chemistry major here at USM and are now at Rice University. And
Mhm.
so I'll let you talk a little bit about that. But I first want to start off with a little bit of background. So if you could just kind of tell our Chemistry 108 students kind of when you were at USM, why you chose your major, and kind of go from there. Just tell us anything you want us to know about yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, so hello, my name's Damien Cooper, and I'm from West Mississippi, and I went to USM from 2020 to 2024. And so, one of the big things that like about chemistry that like drove me towards it was that like as a kid, like I always like to ask a lot of questions and answers. So like why this, why that, why is the sky blue? Why does like medicine make me feel better? Things such as that. And I remember just kind of it's always like want to know this like the why behind everything. And I remember just taking chemistry my sophomore year of high school, and I was like, man, this is like a lot of my different questions, and I was like, okay, this might be like a cool field like to go into. Because I remember thinking back then, it's like, oh, I just mix stuff together, and stuff will happen. Like there's the chemistry, but no, but yeah, that's kind of like what led me to chemistry. Like what led me like to USM was just like I remember just looking at the different like professors and everything and like getting input from like my chemistry professor at school. Like, oh yeah, USM is like gonna be a really good place for you in terms of like research, like things like smaller class size in terms of like being able to get to know my professors better. That they have a really good chemistry department in that sense of like this research. That's one big thing that like drew me towards it was the idea of like, oh, there I see a couple people here that I might want to do research for. And so that kind of like just drove me towards like the like pushing towards USM. And that's what really brought me there, really. And like so I started in fall 2020 during COVID, so that was like a fun time. But I got really lucky in the sense of like doing chemistry was like actually like getting involved in the research really early. So I started doing research in January of 21 with Dr. Matt Donahue, and so I kind of that's like what thrust me to where I am now was like all these experiences kind of led up to each other. Just learned about chemistry in like my sophomore year, then started doing research because the research propelled me to learn a lot more about like the chemistry world itself, gave me a lot of different opportunities. So like just by doing research, I was able to go across the country. So like I've been to like Connecticut, California, Indiana, Georgia. I've been like all over the place, just through chemistry and just like all these avenues just kind of opened up for me. I just really saw myself like being a chemist was like led me here to now where I'm like in grad school, continuing my research and doing just new and exciting stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your undergrad research? So you started essentially your second semester here, if I heard you right,
Oh yeah. Mhm.
with Dr. Donahue, and I think that you probably got introduced to that through Chemistry 108,
Yep, exactly. Yep,
because
that's
we
that's where I
we
heard it from. Yeah, I remember
yeah.
going to your class and seeing you interview. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. I might want to just reach out to him. Yeah.
Yeah, so you did organic research. Can
Mhm.
you talk a little bit more about maybe your project? Don't spend a whole lot of time on the nitty-gritty details, but kind of the overall project. And I'm guessing you did that that kind of work, the whole remainder of your time at USM, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So in Dr. Donahue's group, like I focus on nitrogen heterocycle synthesis. So basically just organic molecules that are rings with nitrogens in them. And that was like the big thrust of it, where I would figure out different ways to make these nitrogen heterocycles where they are like multi-substituted. So like they have different substituents coming off parts of the ring. And so I worked on like various projects. So like the molecule I worked on is called piperidine, and so it's used in a wide range of pharmaceutical drugs. And that was kind of like the big like why behind like what we did. And so I worked on a lot of different projects, making these different substitution patterns like 3,5, 2,4, just in different unique ways in order to kind of gauge new reactivity with these rings and just find new ways to synthesize them. And so yeah, I worked on that mainly like for my time there. Like when I started. I did actually like a little bit of competition work as well. Just learned a little bit like about how to do some competition chemistry. So I kind of like a lot of different like experiences in there in terms of research, and just kind of different techniques because I remember starting, I didn't know anything at all, and that's okay because like I was a freshman, and for anybody, lab and actual work is like really different. But I remember going in like I don't know what's going on to where I am. I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like a little more confident, and I know through time and experience and effort, I gain the skills I need to get where I am today. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. One of the things that young students, I think, fear is coming and talking to us mean old professors.
hmm
So can you talk a little bit about how you approached getting into a research lab? Obviously, you were introduced to the concept that you could through Chemistry 108, but ultimately you had to go and talk to somebody about, hey, I might want to do research in your lab. Talk just briefly about how you approach that.
hmm so um, I was terrified at first. I remember drafting my email to Dr. Donahue. I'm like, man, what if he just says no, this or that? So I sat on like for 2 days before I even sent the email to him. I was like, just psyching myself out. But the biggest thing that I learned is just to do it, because in our heads we can like think that these like you said, these big bad professors like I'm gonna say no, we rule, but no, it's the best thing you can do is like to reach out, because that shows like initiative on your stuff, that you're interested in the research, like in their work. You've looked kind of at their page that their previous work, like, oh, okay, like this student shows like some interest in me. So like, I think the biggest way I approached it was just like this opportunity for me, as to improve myself as a chemist, and just like as a student in general, because it gives you like a lot of experience and a lot of the like insight to how things work on the other side and everything. So I just kind of saw it as like I changed it to think of it as like an opportunity and something that will like be positive for me. So that's kind of how I got over my little hump of being scared to hit send on my email. And so it's just overall positive, because once the worst they can say is no, or like ask me again like another year. But it's like you put yourself out there. The professors remember names, they remember faces. Like if you make that first attempt and that first step, then it'll work a lot better for you, like in the long run. Yeah.
Okay.
hmm
So continuing on the undergrad research for just a moment, you said that you've gone several places. So you went to present your research at different meetings. Can you
Yes.
talk just briefly about where you went and what kind of presentations you did?
Okay, yeah. So I went to quite a few presentations like in my undergrad. I went to, I believe, 10 or 11 places I
Oh,
went to.
wow.
Yeah, so I remember the first one I went to was with the ACS. So the ACS has different regional meetings. So like you had like CERMAX or SWARM. So I went to CERMAX, was the Southeast Regional ACS meeting. And so that year was in Birmingham. So that was only 3 hours away. So that was my first ever presentation, where I went up to Birmingham for a couple days. Presenting it was a poster presentation in this case. So I drafted a poster and people came up to talk to me about my research and everything. Throughout the years, I went to a couple places in Mississippi. So I went to like Jackson and went to Starkville to visit my research there. I've gone to some ACS national conferences. So I went to New Orleans. When I went to New Orleans, went to San Francisco, and I went to Indiana to visit my research there. All those are also poster presentations. Typically, also USM also has some presentation that you can go to. I went to a couple of those as well with and also along the coast in I'm trying to remember the name of it on the coast. What's it called? I'm blanking right now.
I don't know which one you're talking about, but that's okay.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
but
you
like,
did 10 or 11 of them. My goodness, you can't remember them all. That's
oh
good.
yeah, no. And so I just kind of like did those because it's the best way to network. Is what really the conferences are. Even if they're local conferences, like coming, like even just going up to Jackson or Starkville, like you get to meet people and see some of the same people over and over, and it's kind of what advertise yourself. So like when I went to um just like Birmingham in general. That's why I got to start knowing people from Rice. It's like, oh, and I'm here now. Like I met them at like a tabling events, or somebody came by and saw my research. And it's like, yeah, and at these different conferences, like in the same area, you get to know the same people. It's like, oh, I remember seeing you like a few months ago, or like last year. Like how's research going? How's everything going? Like your name gets out there like that. So like I try to go to everything that I could, even if it was just somewhere close by, because it's a good way to get your name out and a good way to get experience really presenting. Because if you go to grad school, that's a big part of what you do. So like here I probably present 2 to 3 times a semester. So it's like it gets you a lot of experience and a lot more comfortable with your research and being able to talk about what you do to other people. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So just briefly, so you obviously you did a lot of presentations over your undergraduate research. Did you get any publications?
No, I didn't get any publications. No, some of them like are still in the works, but at those things I did get some awards.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's a
you
big
won several presentation awards.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you do an REU?
Yeah, so I did my RU in summer of 23 here at Rice is what I
At
did. Yeah.
Rice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
prior
that
to that I did I'm sorry. Yeah.
no, that's fine. I was just going to say, just for our Chemistry 108 students, that's research experience for undergraduates, where you spent probably 8 to 10 weeks right at Rice.
Yep.
And so, tell us a little bit about your experience with an REU and what led you to actually decide to do one.
Mhm. Yeah, so what kind of led me to it is that you get comfortable in one space for a long time. So at this point, I was in the Donahue lab for 3 years, and I had did like some summer fellowships, but with like different other organizations. But going to a different place kind of opens your eyes to how other people do some similar chemistry. So like when I came to Rice, like I had been doing synthesis for 3 years. I knew I know how to do this technique, how to do this technique, or I know how to do this rest of this reaction. You go to these different places and it kind of teaches you new skills in the sense that, oh, you do it like this, but here's a better way to approach this. Or it's like, oh, you like this research, can I find something kind of adjacent to what you're doing to work here like in my lab? So like this is what I did here when I came to Rice to my RU. I worked in Dr. Laszlo Curdy's lab and I worked on once again pyridine synthesis like I was doing in Dr. Donahue's lab. However, the way I did it here versus at USM was completely different. It was the same way, the similar products, but the route was pick us completely different. And so it gave me experience of like new reactions, using new like different reagents um and like new reagents, just try even just new skills. Because like I do some air sensitive chemistry actually, so that got me experience like, oh, how do I work this under argon? How do I use like a shrink line? Learn how to do things such as that. And so like the RU is just a really good way for you to get out of your comfort zone and show that you can like thrive in a different area than what you're used to. It's like one of like the biggest things that I got with. Along with that, once again, so like another networking opportunity. I went to RU with Rice. Obviously, I'm at Rice right now. So it gets people to know your face and who you are. And so like, oh, we might want him here because of X, Y, and Z. And it kind of push you above the game of whoever you might be. I say competing against, but like whenever you're applying to grad school, you're going against a large pool of people. And so, like I said, if people know your name, like, oh, this name sticks out to me, let's make sure that he gets in or they get in, something like that. So yeah, that was like the biggest like driver towards like doing an RAU was just one, learn like the new reactions, new experiences, and two, just getting out my comfort zone and showing that I can thrive somewhere else other than just in USL. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Um, so as you made a decision to go to graduate school, were you always thinking that you were going to go on to graduate school? Was that always the plan?
No, I was like, I'll get my bachelor's degree and I'm gonna work somewhere. It was an idea. Yeah.
All right. And
No.
so was it your experience in undergraduate research that kind of made you think, this grad school thing sounds pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, that's what it was. Is like, like I say, research opened so many doors to me that I can't even like count on my hands just how much like has changed in my life doing research. But like being in lab and doing it, this really showed me that I had the passion and love to do this for the rest of my life. And I was like, okay, even though I could maybe get a job working, going out of with my bachelor's degree, I want to get more experience, do more work, try new things, and that's what kind of pushed me like, okay, I want to get my PhD to go to grad school. And so yeah, research was like a really really big factor in pushing me to where I am now, and just seeing kind of the other side of what I could be doing. That is kind of like was really exciting to me. Yeah.
okay. So when you made the decision to go to graduate school, were you really just focused on Rice, or did you have a few other places that you had in mind, or?
So initially, I had a couple other places. So like, I wanted to go either I was going to at Vandy, at Alabama, and at Ohio State. But really, just kind of drew me to Rice was really like the RU. The art was like the big thing is the RU, and that's like one of the reasons to go. It's like you get this experience like the culture of a school because RU is a good way to figure that out. It's like, okay, how's the culture here? But that was like a big driving force for me coming to Rice was I could to see the environment and the people that I could be working with. And so like at Rice, from what I've seen like in my experience is that the community here is really really nice. It's like it's super tight knit. There's no kind of like super competitiveness of like, oh, let me try to do the same thing and kind of push you down so I can get lifted up. Rice here is like fully kind of cooperative in that sense that everybody here is supporting you and wants you to like to do good and be and succeed in whatever you want to do. And along with that, just kind of seeing here, the grad students were a little bit more happy. In the sense of like people seemed like they were happy to be here, not like it was like a, oh, this is a job I got to go to every day. It's more like, oh, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I get to enjoy being here and doing the work that I'm doing. Is like one like the biggest things that drove me to Rice. And then the research as well. I saw there are three professors I wanted to work with when I first came. So like seeing my options, like okay, there are different branches I could go down, and like I could see myself being in these places. So just being here and like working in that environment just kind of let me see like how I could see myself being here. And that's kind of that's pushed me to Rice. At the end of the day, it's just like the community, the research, and everything like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I've got one final question. You may even kind of know what it is. But generally what I like to ask at the end of these conversations with former Golden Eagles is if you could, where you're at now and what you know,
Mhm.
what would you go back and tell your freshman self so that maybe our new Chemistry 108 students can benefit from your self-reflection on that?
Mhm. See, let me see. I think about it a few times. A few times, I guess one of the biggest things that I would say to myself is don't be so hard on yourself. Um, it's like what from where I am now and just looking back, I was always hard on myself to like to push, be the best I could be. Like, I always give 110%, just giving my all the time. But like that's one thing that kind of I kind of got burnt out before I came. So and I kind of it kind of burnt me out towards like the end of like the of my time at school was that I kept pushing. And it's like, did I get stuff out? Yes, but it's like you give yourself more leeway than what you initially think. It's okay to take breaks. It's okay to have, I don't know, Starbucks during for a study break. So just sitting there, in the corner of the library, just sitting in silence. So I would just say be easy on yourself because um
But
things are
diligent.
hard. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Things are hard but they'll get better and like your work ethic and like your drive will like show itself before anything. So that's like one of the biggest things I would have told myself. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, great. Fantastic. Well, I've enjoyed getting to connect again with you, and I'm sure that our Chemistry 108 students will enjoy viewing this next week. So thank you very much.
Thank you.